Morning, Raptor Freak Alexiot's here. It's a Wednesday watch along. I'm going to do some things a little bit different for this Wednesday watch along today because we're not watching a full game. We're just watching a clip that our regular viewer, Paul B, Raptor Freak Paul B, has compiled together for the season. He's picked his best dunks for the season, and we're going to take a look at them today. Really cool stuff. And Paul did such a good job with this clip. I really appreciate it, Paul. We talked about this all season, about compiling our favorite dunks from the season. And well, here it is. Today's the day to check out the best dunks of the year from Paul B. Now, let me just see if I can get this to look a little better on screen as far as, brightness and stuff. This is always something that happens when I try to do it this way. Let me see. Let me see if it's better if I bring the brightness down. Hey, there's Paul B. Thank you again, Paul, for putting this clip together. You did a really fantastic job, and I'm excited about this. This will be fun. I like the ones you selected. I think that you did a good job of showing different angles on different ones and stuff like that, and it's just gonna be cool. Hopefully, I can get this picture a little bit better. Let's see. Oh my gosh, let me see. Let me bring down. I think the brightness, bringing it down helps. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it all the way down. There we go. All right, just as long as we can kind of see the players and such on the screen. All right, so basically, he started off with a whole compilation of the best dunker of the year, in my opinion. For this past season, the Raptor that had the best dunks, honestly, in a lot of ways, was Precious Achua. And Paul has top loaded this clip with Precious clips. And we're starting off, this looks like a Milwaukee game. Yeah, this is a Milwaukee game, and we're going to see him go big time on somebody. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the volume on. Why not? We'll put the volume on so we can hear the call. All right, so we see him. Oh, no, it's OG first. Sorry. Oh, that's right. Paul started with OG because OG had the best dunks. Precious is later. All right, that's a nice little dunk going right into the lane, just getting around the man, and just a simple throwdown. It's very nice dunk because he kind of came around the guy. I think they play it again, so let's see it. OG, oh my! All right, this one. This is OG again. This is in transition. That's the alley-oop. Boom, from Fred. That's a badass alley-oop. Let's say Fred in transition, Fred throwing it up, and OG catching it and throwing it down. Yeah. Paul B says, I think as the season went on, the dunks got better. I think so too. I mean, that would make sense if the guys are playing more together. They're understanding more of where they like to be and their sweet spots and stuff like that, or ways that they like to get the ball passed to them. That the dunks would get better and more synergized as the season went on. And who knows what they're going to look like next year with a full training camp again and time a year together and coming right in with a little bit more familiarity and not so much orientation and figuring each other out at the beginning of the season. Come in with the building blocks from last season, and let's see what kind of chemistry they got next year. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going. This is OG stuff. This is the other angle. Boom. Fred throws it up just perfect. Fred throws it up just perfect for him. Like, it's just like just the right lob, just the right kind of energy, and OG's there to get it. Because, it's not easy throwing a lob. You can throw it way too high. You can throw it not high enough. You have to really get the right sweet spot for putting the ball in the right place for them to get the right time to catch it and to put it in and stuff like that. And look, OG right there. Bam, he's right at the basket. He's throwing it down. I love it. I love it. Wow. All right, here's another OG. Oh my gosh, that's the one where he went right up over the Miami defender. That is like, I think he's dunking on, who is that, 22? That's Bam Adebayo or somebody. Holy crap. Oh, Jimmy Butler. He dunked on Jimmy Butler. OG had this energy in preseason, and without Siakam there, really. Yeah, he did at times. Now we got to remember, Paul. He was hurt, like with that hip pointer, and that really took him out in the middle of the season for some of this aggressiveness. So we were looking at the Monday game this week was OG's big game, his career high in New York. And of course, Pascal wasn't playing in that game, and he was the man, 36 points to help us beat New York on November 1st. But this is the thing. OG had a weird season. Sure, when Pascal came back and he kind of stepped back into that leader role, OG did take a little bit of a back seat in some of his stats and the things he was doing. And then the other thing was really that hip pointer injury really changed his season after that. He wasn't really as good as he was in the first half of the season, partly because the hip pointer kept him out for so long. And then he came back near the end of the season too late, in my opinion, to really get a strong rhythm from the season going out. That OG, unfortunately, that injury in the middle of the season really derailed his ability to finish strong in some ways. It's almost like he was just recouping to come back and be able to play. Let's see what I Am Shanky is saying. Yeah, we need to use OG more. I think so too. I mean, I'd love to see more balance. Like, I know that sometimes it's better to have a guy who's just your go-to guy, who is like your bread and butter. You're going to go to him almost all the time. But if you can have variable guys that can be that guy down the court, that seems like it's better in some ways. Like in football, you want to have an option package. You don't want to just run the running back down the middle of the field over and over again. You want to have some receivers, a tight end, or something like that to throw to also. And that's the thing I like. Maybe Pascal's your running back that you go to and drive and grind on them, but you got to have your wideouts like OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, people like that also carrying the scoring load, because it could be a lot more equal on the Raptors because of the makeup of our roster. And OG is definitely somebody who can step up and be a superstar on any given night. And we need to see that more. I agree with that, Shanky. Paul B. saying, well, hopefully we get a healthy OG next season. We sure need him in that top-tier defense. For sure. For sure. Like once again, this season we were piecing things together sometimes with who we had available. It was like Nick Nurse was using who he could at times because he didn't have a whole lot of options. And, having all the guys healthy and not missing one or two guys here and there, different games and stuff like that will make it real easier. There were many games this season where OG didn't play, and his defensive talent definitely would have put us over the top. I agree with this, Paul, for sure. Paul B. saying also throw in All-Star Van Vliet with the bum knee. Yeah. Yeah, Fred's knee, that's another one. I mean, Pascal missed in the beginning of the season. Kem Birch had a lot of injury this whole season also and things like that. Tom Duke's here. Good morning, Tom. We're just checking out the clip. All right, let's keep going with the OGs. Like, this is him, like, right over Butler. That's so nasty. That is so nasty. Here we go. All free. Oh, that's that reverse. That is that reverse. That's a beautiful dunk that OG did right there. That's an old school dunk. A lot of the guys don't do reverses anymore in the NBA because there is a lot of room for folly. Like when you're bringing the ball up over your head backwards like this into the rim, and you better know where that hoop is, because if you hit the edge of the rim, it's going to look ugly. You're going to be on Shaqtin' a Fool, and you don't want none of that. So it is a little bit risky to do the reverse jam and transition in today's game. And I love that OG did it here, and he pulled it off masterfully. See, part of OG's dunking that is so cool is that he's not necessarily a power dunker. He's got a lot of finesse in his dunks also. A lot of like what you would call, it's like Michael. It's like Dominique Wilkins. These guys had like a ballerina, like a very like nice poise, form, figure, nice flow into their physicality of throwing the dunk. Some guys are just raw and they just throw it down. But OG has that kind of muscle control where he could do stuff like Michael Jordan in the air, where he looks really like sleek and beautiful in the air, like the way he carries his body and his muscles to dunk. And that reverse, that was one of my favorite OG dunks of the year right there, because it really showed the elegance of the athleticism of OG Anunoby in that moment. It wasn't about power. It wasn't about like get raw, I'm going to put it on you. It was just basically, I'm going to make something beautiful that looks nice. And in some ways that dunk, even though it's very simple, I like that dunk better than a lot of the dunks in the dunk contest this year, just because it's in game and it's just really nice and smooth. Really good job by Paul B. I agree with Tom Duke. Really, really good job. And it really awesome that you did find these different angles and things like that. And really, really cool that you were. I really appreciate us doing this right now. I know we talked about it all year, and I'm glad it's happening. All right, let's see. This may be another replay of the reverse coming up. Okay, yeah. See, look at him. nice and smooth with the upswing into it. Really nice and smooth with it. All right, here we go. This is Yuta in New Jersey. Holy crap, Yuta. This is the thing about this dunk that Yuta Watanabe did here in New Jersey or in Brooklyn. I say New Jersey because they're wearing the old Nets jerseys in this one. But this is the thing. The defender was there. The defender messed up his dunk and he bobbled it. He didn't actually this is similar to the thing where the guy said that he blocked them, but no, he got blocked by the rim. Is what happened is that he loses the control of the ball with his hands for a second in this dunk. If you really look closely, and and he still manages to force it into the basket, like just by pure will. Even though the defender's hand's there and the rim is there, he finds the hole and he gets it to go through, which is absolutely badass. And I love that. Now, y'all, if you want to watch this clip without all the graininess and through my computer and the TV and shit, we're going to post it in the comments and you guys can all watch the compilation on your own also afterwards, or, whatever with me or whatever. I'll put the clip in the comments for sure. Yeah, gee, we're going to talk about Siakam for sure. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about today. I should have maybe done the news and notes. Golden State did not sweep Dallas last night. Dallas was able to stop them and hold off the sweep for at least one more game. Fantastic stuff. All NBA announced yesterday. And yes, Pascal got that third team like we had hoped. We had forecast from the voting and stuff like that. And listen, I'll have a Friday freak out about all this because there's some things I want to say about him getting third team and some of the things that are being said about it. And then things about LeBron in the third team and different things like that. Very interesting discussion since the all NBA teams have been announced yesterday. Very, very interesting stuff. And then Jalen Harris, guys, listen, he has signed with the CEBL. He's a teammate of J. Cole now on the Scarborough Shooting Stars. So Jalen, even though he is not officially reinstated by the NBA or on the Raptors officially right now, he's going to put in some summer work here in Toronto and play in the backcourt with J. Cole. Listen to that backcourt, J. Cole and Jalen Harris running things in Scarborough this summer. And that's badass. Their ticket sales are going to go through the roof. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be really, really, really cool. And then there's a couple other things going on that I wanted to mention too. I wanted to see if I remember them off the top of my head. Well, obviously, it's really nice to see all the Raptors show support for Pascal winning All NBA. Like Precious, Svi, Delano, Scotty, all of them posted Siakam's achievement, and they're really celebrating him in the last 2 days or so. That's fantastic. Chris Boucher's back in Montreal a couple days ago, but now he's back in Toronto now. He was in Montreal for the Metro Music Festival with Lil Baby and a bunch of other artists. They had it in Montreal. It's a music festival they've had in Montreal just once or twice before. They started it before the pandemic, and now they're finally be able to resume it this past weekend. And Chris was there at it, enjoying the music and the fun at the Metro Festival in Montreal this weekend. Let's see what you guys are saying. Raptors are going to be 67-15 this season. I love that prediction, Alistair. That would be so badass. Alistair also says we need Harris. I agree with that. Paul's saying we need more spicy dunks next season. Yeah, we don't. Spicy's not very flashy dunker. That's the thing about him. It's not like he's going to take off and attack the rim in some ways. He's more likely to try and lay it in or try and, if he does do a dunk, it's never flashy. It's very basic and kind of just I'm putting it in kind of thing. I guess that's just the way he is. But you know what? You're right, Paul. And that's something that I haven't really thought about. Pascal does not get a lot of highlight dunks for who he is and what he does and stuff like that. Yeah, I really like that record prediction also, Tom Duke. There's one other story I'm trying to think of that I need to talk about today. The Jalen Harris, Pascal. Team Canada, y'all. Listen, Team Canada. Oh, Blue City's here. Good morning, Philly fan. Good morning to you. We're just reviewing the best Raptor dunks of the season. We're looking at right now we're looking at a Yuta Watanabe dunk that happened in New Jersey where he dunked on a net and finally got a little bit of payback for the dunk that Anthony Edwards did on him a year ago. But yeah, Team Canada got announced yesterday. It was a really good press conference with Nick Nurse and RJ Barrett's dad, who's the commissioner of Team Canada basketball. And the team is stacked, y'all. Oh my gosh, Team Canada, this is a good team that's playing for us this summer. I'm going to talk more about it in the next couple of days, give it its own feature for a whole day, Team Canada, and talking about their team and who they might start and the lineups and stuff like that. So go check out Team Canada. The team announced yesterday 12, most of the players, almost all of them except for one, are NBA players that play in the NBA right now. So look out for Canada in international basketball play, because we're coming. We've got a stacked team, and Nick Nurse is the coach, and Team Canada is looking real good, with the names that I saw on there right now. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Paul B saying, yeah, he had one on KD at Nets, but I think Yuta took his spot in the highlight list. Okay, you're talking about Pascal. He had one on KD, and yeah. You know what? We probably should have just kept them all on there, Paul, but it's okay. I really love this clip. Honestly, you did such a good job editing it and stuff like that. Alistair saying that Yuta wants to come back. Yeah, he's talking to the press this week saying that he would prefer to be back with the Raptors, but he knows that the process can mean all kinds of different things. It is a business. And if the needs and the wants of the team are not with him, then it might be actually good for him to go to another team and maybe get more time and possibly become a starter or even like a first man off the bench kind of player on another team. But I would love to have him back. I'm okay with either way. If we can have Yuta back on the team again next year, that's great. But if he isn't on the team again next year, it's the kind of thing where I hope the best for him, and I hope he gets more playing time and gets himself as a more established NBA player if he isn't going to be on our team necessarily. So let's see. Blue City saying, I have a question for me as a black man. I believe Yankees Josh Donaldson did nothing wrong, and I do not believe he did not say anything that was racist, in my opinion. Yeah, this is an interesting story, Blue City. We're a little off subject, but I don't mind doing this. Josh Donaldson was a former Blue Jay, and this is a very important discussion, and we do talk about social topics and stuff like that. Now, I tend to agree with you to a degree on this. Now, I'm not going to say that Josh Donaldson isn't a racist, because he probably is. Honestly, he seemed like a knucklehead when he was here, when he played for the Blue Jays and stuff like that. And in some ways, it's not really that what he said is racist. It's maybe the overtones. It's the connotations of what's racist about it. To me, the thing that's fine about it is that this is a player that said earlier in his career, I'm the Jackie Robinson of this time. And that maybe Josh Donaldson, what he's saying is like throwing it back in his face. Like, who the fuck are you to say you're Jackie Robinson in this time? Like, that is a little bit of a big toot your own horn kind of thing to say. And that's why Josh is saying it to him. Okay, Jackie. Okay, Jackie. But without the context of the history of what Anderson said before and why he's saying that, it looks real bad. It looks real bad in some ways. But I totally understand. It was harmless. It's not that Josh Donaldson was trying to be racist. He was trying to throw it back in his face for bragging that he thought he was the new Jackie Robinson. And, that is warranted in some ways. But the optics of it from the outside and just the short blurb makes people get enraged a little bit because it sounds bad. And in some ways, maybe Josh Donaldson shouldn't be that guy doing that. And maybe it should be another black player in the MLB should be coming to him and say, okay, Jackie. And he's saying it to him. Because in some ways, that takes the whole idea of the racial part of it out. In some ways, I just think Josh Donaldson, like if he didn't have a track record of being kind of borderline possibly racist already, that it wouldn't look as bad. Like if it was a player that was kind of more a good character, somebody, that maybe, somebody like Derek Jeter. If Derek Jeter did that, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? Because Derek Jeter is a mixed person. So I don't know. I'm really 50-50 on this. I feel like Josh Donaldson's not right to hound the guy like that in some ways, but I also feel like it's kind of warranted because he did make an audacious statement about himself. But the optics of it from the outside just look bad. And that's why MLB had to do it. And that's also why it's only one game. It's not like a really bad suspension. It's just for one game. And guys sit one game all the time anyway. So it's not really hurting the Yankees, which I wish it would because I hate the Yankees. But yeah, all right. Well, that's kind of where I see with that. Let me see. Let's see. Let me see what else you said there. But good point, Blue City. And it is important to get all of the angles on this. That why is Josh calling him Jackie? And why this is happening and stuff like that, it's like part of it is maybe a little bit too over like social justice warrior, like, no, you shouldn't be able to say this and stuff like that. And part of it also is maybe this guy has a reputation for being a little bit kind of like questionable with his racism and stuff like that. Tom Duke saying players want to play in Canada. Wow, those poor folks in Texas. Oh my gosh. Like yesterday after the shooting, a lot of people on Twitter were saying, I'm moving to Toronto. There's like Americans that are fed up with this. They're fed up with the gun control laws in the States and these issues with shooting up schools and supermarkets and stuff like that. And they're ready to leave. And this is the thing. I'm going to say this as a sociologist, there's nothing's going to get solved in the US until two things happen. And the most important one is, and there's going to be more and more of this right now because everybody's getting stretched economically. And when you have economics get worse and worse for people, where it's harder and harder times, whether it's inflation, with prices going up and people not getting paid as much, people get stressed and they do stupid shit. And they do crazy shit like act out, like racist act out and shoot things. And I'm not giving them a card to do this, but I'm saying that the mechanism of all this is poverty. And that if people's needs are met, then nobody shoots up anything, like for the most part, because they're okay. They're content. They're not depressed. They're not malnourished because they're not eating and they're having like crazy chemical things going on in their head and stuff like that. So, but it's really awful. They need to fix poverty in the US and help people get economic freedom to be able to take care of themselves, maybe with a UBI or something. And then they need to really look at access to guns and figuring out how to change this. I know it's a real hard thing because now people can make guns in a 3D printer and stuff like that and all kinds of stuff. But they really do need to start changing things because nothing's changed. 10 years since Sandy Hook, and we got the same damn results going on down in the States. So it's like, listen, y'all ain't even trying to fix anything down there. It's just the same shit over and over again, and it will continue to happen. And maybe it's just a sign of the fall or collapse of society, is that we care so much about money and protecting our gun rights and protecting this and protecting that at the own cost of human lives and ourselves and our humanity. And that this is going to just get worse and worse because the people in power only care about the bottom line. And they could give a shit about people dying. You think the people in charge care about kids getting shot in an elementary school? They don't. Because if they did, they would have done something about this after Sandy Hook. And that's what I'll say about that. All right, let's say Paul B saying, any chance we trade our draft pick and Flynn to move up the draft or something? I'm just curious what Masai might have up his sleeve. Of course, there's a chance. There's always a chance for anything to happen when Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster are involved. But I'm going to tell you right now, the chances are probably not as good also when it's those guys because they really just stick to their guns and stick to what they're doing. If we traded Flynn, I wouldn't be upset. And there has been a lot of like murmurs about the Raptors moving up in the draft and trying to get up into the first round, stuff like that. I don't know. I think they're fine where they are. I'm looking at the talents and stuff like that around there, and we can really get a good player at 33. So if they don't do anything, that'd be fine. Let's see. Paul B saying, did you watch the Jalen Harris interview Yahoo Sports Canada posted? No, I didn't see that. I didn't know he had an interview. I want to see it. I'll go watch it after this. I'll go look for it. Alistair saying, I think he meant as a player, their games are similar. Who are you talking about? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Alistair. The context there. Paul B saying, he meant that Tim Anderson saying he plays like Jackie Robinson and stuff like that. Yeah, that's still a lofty thing to say. Like if his game is kind of like him and he plays like that, I can understand that. And baseball fans agree with him, then they'll allow him to do that. But it's the whole weight of the whole thing. It's like in some ways that the weight of it brings like you're a pioneer, somebody who did something that was very difficult because of the racism and you did all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like that. But also in a way, that's why Josh Donaldson shouldn't be jeering him in that way. And catcalling him, okay, Jackie, because it's not his place to do that in some ways, especially like where he comes from and stuff like that. So, all right, let's see. Paul B. saying Tim Anderson called him Jackie Robinson. He called him Jackie. If I call Vlad Barry for struggling like Barry Bonds, that wouldn't be racist, right? Yeah, I don't know. See, this is a touchy place. We've got to, like I said, we got to look at Josh Donaldson has a history of making fucked up kind of statements in the past already. So it's a little bit because it's Josh. If it was a good standing like MLBer that hasn't had any issues or controversy before, and they did it, it may be poo-pooed more. But Josh Donaldson has a history of being controversial and things saying, and him being a little politically correct, tone deaf. And that's why partly this is happening. It's a little bit of a 50-50 in all kinds of different things. The optics of it, that it's Josh Donaldson, and all that kind of stuff. Blue City's saying that he agrees with me. It's not so cut and dry that it's like that's racist. It's not so cut and dry that it's this and this. It's a little bit of everything in the middle, like I'm trying to say. Blue City's saying it'd be the same thing if someone said to themselves, I'm the new Babe Ruth. Baseball fans and Yankee fans, including me, would not like that. Yeah, exactly. Like, big fat man comes in, he's like, I'm Babe Ruth now. And you're like, what the fuck? You better be some crazy cigar chomping, like crazy wild man outside of the game where you're drinking all the time and womenizing. If you're going to be Babe Ruth, you better be doing that and pitching and hitting home runs out of the building and pointing when you're going to go hit them. And stuff like that. You're going to be Babe Ruth now, but nobody's going to be Babe Ruth again. That's the thing. And maybe that's what it is that nobody's going to be Jackie Robinson again. Nobody's going to have to take the path that he went down because he made that path for other people. And that in itself is kind of what's insulting about it. But if it's the context is that Tim Anderson saying, I play like Jackie Robinson, then I totally understand that. And that's fair. And that's what he meant. But that's what he should have elaborated on. And said, no, I don't mean this. I mean, I play like him on the field. I play like him when I hit and stuff like that. But still, maybe he should pick another player. That is such a huge weighted player in the MLB. I mean, his numbers retired across the league. They all wear his number on a certain day. So that's like, maybe pick a different person. It's kind of like coming in and saying something like, I'm the new Bill Russell. I'm like, I don't know if you're the new Bill Russell. Hello. That's a lot to say. All right, let's say, Alistair saying, I don't like Buffalo now. Hope Bills move to Toronto. Better town anyway. Yeah, you're talking about the supermarket shooting. Yeah, Buffalo's messed up in different ways. Blue City saying, to be honest, I did not know who Tim Anderson was. I didn't either. I didn't know who the dude was either until this whole thing. This is the first time I've ever heard his name. And that's part of the reason why I'm like, why is this guy saying he's the next Jackie? He's like, you should not be doing that. This is not what you do. It's not like somebody's going to show up in the NBA in the next couple of years and say, I'm the new Kobe Bryant, and say that out loud. If everybody will look at him like, you're fucking crazy, we will, they'll hate him right away. You don't want to do that as an athlete. That's why like Vince didn't come in and say, I'm the new Michael Jordan and stuff like that. He didn't want to say that. That's a big shoes to fill. And why did Tim Anderson want those shoes to fill? You're not Jackie Robinson, man. Come on. All right, let's see. Paul B saying, okay, wait, hang on. I want to skip Blue City's statements here. To be honest, I did not know who Tim Anderson was. He's also saying, my stepdad always told me guns don't kill people. People kill people with the wrong hands. We will use the guns the wrong way. Yeah. No, I mean, I understand this argument. It's like guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns. And that's fine. And I understand that. But listen, cars are the same way. People kill people with cars. It's the same kind of thing. Knives, same thing. It's just that a gun is so much more permanent. A gun is so much more damaging. A gun is such more easier to be lethal with. And part of the problem is, and everybody says, sane people should have guns. They can have guns. Well, people that are sane can turn insane for the craziest of reasons. And then all of a sudden they're a crazy person with a gun. Now, I'm not against people having guns. I believe in responsible gun ownership. I just believe that there's way too many of them. When you have such a proclivity of them so much around, that they're going to be in the wrong places, in the wrong hands. And that there needs to be more responsible gun sales and ownership, and maybe better licensing and stuff like that. And people are like, no, you can't know who I have guns and all this kind of stuff. The government can't know, and all this kind of stuff. I understand your mentality with this. And sure, I would love to have people that are ordinary could fight the government with their own guns just in case anything goes crazy. But y'all are not necessarily the good guys too. You could be a little crazy in your militias and doing crazy racial shit. And that's what I'm saying is that, like, it's really easy to say that it's the people that kill the guns, but the gun is a very easy factor or mode of transportation to get you there more lethal and worse, especially if they're guns that no citizen has any business owning. Assault rifles that can shoot a lot of people very quickly and stuff like that. That is not a necessary gun. But yeah, I can get into gun control all day. This is actually one of my favorite subjects to talk about because it's something that I really spent a lot of time researching and learning about in grad school when I was studying mortality. and mortality statistics and stuff. So let's see. Paul B saying, if you compare yourself to a Hall of Famer, I'd probably sarcastically call you out too. Okay, DiMaggio. Yeah. It's the thing is he's done this for a few years as part of it. And I don't know why the public's all about it all of a sudden. Did Tim Anderson whine and complain about it? Or did somebody just happen to hear it on the broadcast? And they're like, ooh, what is that about? And stuff like that. Because it could be that Tim Anderson was fine with it. He's like, he understands that he's just joking because of what he said. And that it's the media and everybody else, woke people getting upset about it. I'm not saying woke people are wrong. It's just that they may not have all the facts and they're maybe overreacting about something is what I'm saying. Let's see. Tom Duke is saying glorification of guns and violence. So true, Paul. But these days, if you get a spotlight on you, like these dudes, they all do need to be held to a higher criticism. They're examples to us all. Yeah. In some ways, we don't want to really see little kids mimic, Josh Donaldson. We don't want to see little kids in a little league go up to the black kid playing third base and call him Jackie over and over again. Okay, Jackie, because it could turn into a slur of some sort, a weird kind of like, and even though it's not a slur, it could end up being like this kind of thing where there's little racist kids that are like calling all the black kids Jackie and stuff like that. And that's not good. That's not good in its way. Because like in general, it just sets the wrong tone. And I don't even know if Josh Donaldson like knew he would be put on blast for this. So I can't even blame him for this necessarily. Maybe just the media is putting him on blast. And in some ways that's not good. It's like just poo-poo it like it is because it's not a big deal. And don't make a big deal out of it in some ways. Just deal with it in-house and stuff like that. So let's see. Click saying, man, I'm happy and I hope that Canada never has consistent issues with mass shootings. I'm thankful. While we do have gun violence, it does not come close to America's issues. Yeah, there's in a lot of ways. I mean, we've had mass shootings here. I mean, there was the one at the Women's Polytech in Montreal a long time ago. There are sometimes mass shootings. We've had shootings in downtown Toronto, Jane Kreba, and down on Yonge Street and stuff like that. It is a very more prevalent thing down in the States for sure. And there is a really main contributors to this. Access to guns is the main contributor to this. And the fact that somebody can go down there and just get a gun, like some Canadian guy went to Oklahoma City on Twitter. He's talking about it. And he went down there. Somebody maybe here was talking about it. They went to Oklahoma City for a game, the Raptors against the Thunder. And they went there, and while they were there in the States, just for a couple of days, they went and bought a gun, and they didn't have any background clearance or anything. They just showed up somewhere and just wanted to see if they could buy a gun. This is Canadian visiting U.S., and they sold them the gun, and everything was fine. It's like no questions asked, no problem. That is part of the problem. Is that is so easy to do down there. They're not checking who they're selling these guns to. And, things like this happen where Kyle Rittenhouse all of a sudden has a gun and boom, he's crossing state lines and shooting people and, shit like that. So it's a culture. It's a gun culture. And it's really messed up. And it's like, listen, live and die by the gun, America. You want to really fight for the gun rights? Well, then keep killing your children because that's what's going to keep happening. All right, let's see. Blue City saying, if Tim Anderson says he's the next Alex Rodriguez, no one will not be upset or make that a big deal. I agree with that. That's right. It would make total sense. Maybe it would. Maybe because their games are similar somewhat. But you're exactly right. I think it is because it's Robinson. And the other players took it as an insult. They're like, this motherfucker thinks he's the next Jackie Robinson. Come on. Like that. No, you can't do this, dude. I'm sorry. And Josh was just making fun of him for it. But like I said, maybe Josh Donaldson wasn't the one to do it, but maybe there's other players in the league that also call him Jackie sometimes just because of that. So we don't know. All right, Blue City saying no one in the NBA would dare say they're the new Kobe Bryant. Can you imagine someone say that and the backlash they would have? I know people would hate them. Laker Nation would try and figure out where they live and be like after them because that is very sacrilegious for Lakers and Laker Nation is to say that. And especially the tragedy and the way he died and stuff like that. You don't do that with him. In fact, that's part of the reason why people got mad at Masai Ujiri for saying, we dream. We all want Ronaldo. We all want Messi. We all want Kobe Bryant. People got mad in Laker Nation because Masai said his name. They said, why are you bringing him up? You shouldn't even bring him up in this whole situation because it's kind of fucked up you said that. And I can see why they would be a little touchy, maybe a little emotional about bringing up his name in this kind of situation, stuff like that. And I don't disagree, but it also obviously was a compliment to Kobe. It was not a slight that Masai said and stuff like that. So Blue City's also saying no one in the NBA. Oh yeah, I just read that one. Paul B saying, I think Tim Anderson referred to himself as Jackie Robinson because he was complaining about the unwritten rule of baseball and he was going to expose them like being the new rules, Jackie Robinson. Oh, it wasn't even about his gameplay. It's like he wants to go to another level of exposing racism or discrimination in baseball, is what you're saying. That's interesting too. Well, in a way, that's very interesting too. And if you put it in that light, then kind of seeing what Josh Donaldson did is kind of gatekeeping then. Is that maybe Tim Anderson's pushing in a way to help minorities in baseball a little bit better, and that Josh Donaldson is bullying him to maybe say, okay, Jackie, don't try and push your agenda on the down low of what you're trying to do with MLB. That's very interesting because that's the thing. We may not know the whole story completely. There may be other stuff involved in it with activism by Tim Anderson and what he's trying to do. So who knows? Click to AM saying what separates death by car and guns is the intentions. I would agree and disagree with this. Click 2 AM. As a former drunk driver, someone who drove drunk many, many times, this is one of the biggest horrible things I've done in my life and why I am in AA now and have not had a drink in almost 12 years is because I was a habitual drunk driver. And every single time I was drunk and I got behind the wheel was the same as being careless with a gun. So I will say there are way more similarities between the two. And personally, I know than you would think. So the intentions can be just as bad, and the irresponsibly and the negligence can be just as bad with cars as guns and stuff like that. So Paul B saying make the bullets more expensive, like Chris Rock said. That's a great idea, but this is the thing. They're in business. They just want to make money. They don't want that. They want the more and more and more stuff. And bullets are very expensive already, which is good. But yeah, maybe they should be even more expensive, Paul. You're right. It might work. Blue City saying, you're speaking the truth. I respect that about you, even though you are a Raptors and Blue Jays fan, and I'm a Sixers and Yankees fan. But it's all for the love of the game. Yeah. Well, not, you know what? Listen, it's for the love of the games, but it's also, Blue City, for the love of humanity. You and me both, our loved ones, our friends, everyone in this whole world. It's like we need to start thinking globally as a community. There's so many people that put that versus between Blue Jays and Yankees and stuff like that. And they want us to be like that. That's a sports rivalry. But think about all the other ways that they're trying to tear us apart in different ways to easily control us. And it's really, there's a really select few small minority of people that are very super rich that are manipulating all this and pitting us against each other. This whole Trump thing is a weapon that's being used to keep the working and lower classes down, to keep the dumb lower class people fighting against people that are trying to help them. And these repressives or regressives that I'm calling them, where there's either progressives or regressives, people that want to move society forward and have more rights for everyone and do like things that are better for everybody in society as time goes on. And then there's people that want to drag us back to the 1950s and be regressive and get back to like family values and like, no gay marriage and no abortions and all this kind of stuff. And that's the real conflict, is that they're pulling us apart in that kind of way. It's a culture war. And in some ways, the culture war is just stupid, because in some ways, it's the only way that they can keep us apart so that they can keep the economic system that they've rigged to trickle everything up to them going. If we figure it all out and get on the same page together and figure out our differences and get on the same page, we will be way stronger than them. And that's why they want to keep us against each other. Is that, they stoke the racial tensions. They stoke the worry of replacement theory and this bullshit. They stoke the worry of critical race theory going into schools to scare racists and people that don't have a whole lot already, when they don't even realize that part of that is them controlling them to continue the status quo and keep them using them as pawns to fight against the change that will actually help the people. That they're using them to fight a fight that's not even in their interest. Like the people that are fighting against progress. because progress will fix and help them too. But they fight against it, and they hurt themselves is what's happening. The people that support the regressive side. And it's too bad. It's really too bad. But I appreciate that and bridging the gaps on everything. And that's why I really appreciate y'all coming in here, Blue City. I'm glad you're here again today. You know, all the Sixers fans, all the fans of other nations that can come in here and we can just talk sports and just find common ground's always good. And I do this politically too on Facebook. If I have disagreements with people politically, I will find common ground with them and try and fix things and you know, show that we're more alike than different, because that's so important in today's society, because that is the main weapon that the powers that be are using to keep control. So the more we can be all on the same page and get together and organize and fight against the things we don't like in society, the more powerful we are. And that's what we got to remember. Summerlow's saying, can't they add more technology to guns where they can't fire in schools, malls, or churches? Wow. That's really outside the box thinking, Summerlow, and I like it. You know, you're right. Like, why can't they have some sort of sensor that, you know, but they'd have to go through and remake guns a whole different kind of way. Or, you know, there's a whole other thing. Like I said, there's 3D printed guns now that are very easy to make in some ways for certain people, and they can't really regulate them in any ways. There's kind of like the genie's out of the bottle in some ways, and we're a little bit in trouble for having guns just be prevalent in society. Now, I think that the big manufacturers are the ones that need to start fucking being more responsible, whether they're making it or selling for a different price. And then the retailers need to be way smarter about how they sell guns and who they're selling them to, and the background checks and the things like that also. So there's a lot of areas they could clean it up. And part of the problem has been over the years is the NRA has fought tooth and nail at every little step against any kind of regulation when it comes to guns. And they're kind of faltered. The NRA's kind of fell apart in the last couple of years, and that they're in a weakened state. So now may be the time for people that want more gun control and more sensible gun laws to strike, because the NRA is weakened at this point. They don't have the same following and the same kind of support that they did 5 years ago. People are sick of their bullshit. And they're sick of sending their kids to school and worrying if they're going to get shot while they're at school. Because this is the thing. It's a crapshoot. It could happen in any corner, any place in the United States. Every single morning that a parent puts their child on a bus or sends them to school, they have to worry about this right now, because it could happen anywhere. And that's the messed up thing about it. Oh, yeah, that's the messed up thing about it. Summerlow's saying, I'm sure Elon could easily pull that off. You want Elon Musk to figure out how to do that. I don't think Elon's here to save us, unfortunately. I think that Elon only cares about himself and his money and his pocketbook. In fact, I'm really scared that this dude is going to try and union bust all over the place. He's not union friendly. He's not worker friendly. He's just as bad as Bezos. But you know what? Listen, sometimes you can take somebody's ego and use it for the advantage of everyone. So Elon, you want to be a humanitarian, you want to be a hero, go do some amazing things and fix some huge societal problems. And then maybe we'll make you a hero, even though you're kind of a shady, fucked up, egotistical person. But you go do that stuff. We will champion you and we'll celebrate you if you have real change and you're not just where put your money where your mouth is. And you talk all the talk, well, do it the right way. But him owning Twitter is not a good idea. He's not a free speech person. He will fuck up Twitter if he owns it. So it's kind of funny that he's backing out because there's all the fake accounts and it's all a mess now, this Twitter deal. And it's hilarious. Honestly, I love it because he's an idiot and he needs to get in trouble for backing out of the deal with them because of bot accounts. Hilarious stuff. Oh my gosh. Tom Duke's saying that he loves Summer's idea. I love it too. I think it's pretty good. Click saying all mass shootings that happened in the last month were done by individuals under 19 years old. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And that hopefully is not a sign of like this idiocy. You know, the young people, they have different levels of going up, ratcheting up like crazy bad shit and stuff like that. And the other thing that's disappointing about this is it looks like this shooting at the school is also racially motivated. That the school that was shot up was very Latino. And the teacher that was shot was Latino, and a lot of little kids were Latino. And that one of the scary, sad things about this shooting yesterday is some of the parents are illegals, and they're scared to even go and find out if their kid was shot or not because they're worried about getting discovered and deported out of the country. It's that kind of shit. This was a racial shooting also, just like the Buffalo one, which is awful and sad. Monique's here and she's saying hello. Hello, Monique. Click saying, did you see Steve Kerr's interview? Very powerful. I didn't see it, but I heard what he was saying. And that's good because him and Popovich have been two of the best at being socially progressive and talking about things in their interviews. And sure, Popovich has turned people off in San Antonio with his liberal views and stuff like that. But it's so important that these coaches that have a platform pregame before playoff games say this kind of stuff, they get heard. And Steve Kerr, good job. Good job. You've done this before. And as a child of a diplomat, a U.S. diplomat who was killed in terrorism, that's Steve Kerr's story, y'all. His father was a U.S. diplomat, and he was born in Beirut, Lebanon. I don't know if y'all know this, but Steve Kerr was born in Lebanon because his father was a diplomat, and his father was murdered by terrorism. And so he has a real big social conscience and stuff like that, Steve Kerr. And kudos to him. And Nick Nurse is the same kind of coach also. He will talk out on stuff too. And I love that and stuff like that. So Blue City saying, but do we always have black players playing in the MLB? Did you see a Toronto Blue Jays fan give a baseball to a 12-year-old Yankees fan? The thing about the first statement, but do we always have black players playing in the MLB? We've had black players since Jackie Robinson. I mean, there's a couple of guys that came in after him and stuff like that with him that don't get as much notoriety, and they should because they were going through just as bad as Jackie at that time and stuff like that. As you remember, there was the Negro leagues. They made them play in a separate league away from the white people for the longest time, and then it got more reintegrated. There's a real day of reckoning in sports in general. Like hockey has their whole set of problems right now with cadre and different racism against black players in the NHL that's going on. Hockey is a racist sport, and so is baseball. On the down low roots of baseball, there's so much racism. If you go to the high school level of baseball teams, there's rampant racism on these teams often. And stuff like that. So it's different sports have different racial problems. And hockey and baseball are two of the ones that have the worst problems with racism. Football and basketball are doing way better, obviously, because the percentage of the players is higher for African Americans and stuff like that. So that's good, but those two sports in particular, baseball and hockey, they're behind as far as being socially progressive with the ideas of race. And then maybe part of what they did with Josh Donaldson is to signal that they're trying to be a little bit more considerate or conscientious of these topics, because hockey's in a whole mess of trouble right now. Hockey looks like the Ku Klux Klan in some ways to me right now, as far as like what's happening to Kadri with the abuse he's getting right now is absolutely horrific and awful. And that you hear often stories of black players in hockey getting called really like bad names from like the 50s. This is like 50s racism that's going on in hockey at this point. And it's not good. It's not a good look for either one of those sports. And baseball, you want to be more like basketball and football with this kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's not racial problems in basketball and football also. There have been, trust me, a whole lot. But in some ways, it's better in those leagues for different reasons, whether it's having more black ownership, having more black coaches, having more, different things like that and stuff. So, and I did see that really heartwarming moment where the Blue Jays fan gave the home run ball. I forget what was the player. It was Hunter or something like that. That to the Yankees fan, that was a really touching moment, and it was really bad timing for Raptor Nation because it's like we look really bad because of all the stuff with the Sixers series and people saying that we cheered when Joel got hurt and all this stuff. And they're saying Raptors fans are awful, but Blue Jays fans are so nice and stuff like that. I was like, come on, listen, we're in the playoffs and they're in the regular season. Let's see how they act in their playoffs when things are going really bad and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really heartwarming story by that Blue Jays fan. And it's really cool that they all got to go and it was Judge, right? It was Judge who hit the home run. Yeah. And they had the whole photo op and got to meet him and stuff like that. Really good stuff. Click 2am saying inflation is going to keep making crime worse, but these rich fuckers, I jumped. Hang on. Where did it go? All right, sorry it jumped. Inflation is going to keep making crime worse, but these rich fuckers don't give a damn and won't do nothing because more money in their pockets. It's a real detachment. They live in an ivory tower. They have a society apart from the rest of society at this point, and it's really is getting like Marie Antoinette, eat them, let them eat cake kind of shit. We are seriously on our way to like the fall of Rome in some ways. Like if we don't fix things at the top with the powers that be, the people that are in charge, there's going to be an uprising. And it's either going to be an uprising about the populace, the mass populace of people and the workers and uniting against the way things are run, or we're just going to wait and we're all going to have huge issues because of climate change that is going to change things and is going to make it really hard. Either way, we're in trouble. We've got to go towards humanity and people first over the money and the profit and the bottom line and stuff like that. The more we get back to that philosophy and that kind of thinking, the more we'll save ourselves. But if we don't get that kind of change in philosophy, and we can do it on a micro level in our own personal lives, like that's how we make change, is as a collective, all of us individually decide in our lives that I'm going to start choosing people over profit. And it doesn't necessarily you want to make decisions where you go poor and you're not taking care of yourself. But when you get to these paths in your life where there's a fork in the road, where you can make a decision that will either help humanity as a whole or it will just line your pockets or something like that, sure, a lot of people are going to line their pockets because they need to. But maybe there's a gray area where you can make a decision that helps the other side a little bit more, the collective of everyone. And sometimes it's just as general as like having community food sharing, like grow fruit or plants in your yard that bear food, and then get together with your community and grow different things and share your food bank. And then it'll dry. You don't have to worry about the costs at the grocery store. You can do something with the people around you and share community and help each other. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. We need to have more of a mentality in those kind of things and stuff like that. Like, you know, if you could drive your car or ride your bike to work, take your bike. It's good exercise for yourself, and you're not adding to more pollution in this world that's causing the things. And I know that a lot of people have been doing this for years already. But that's the thing I'm saying is every micro decision we all make as an individual adds up to the cumulative of everybody in society. And that's how we change the world. That's how we change society, is by making our own personal decisions echo out. And then more, boom, more people are being like us. And then they can't stop us. We change it because we decide as a whole, as the mass and stuff like that. So it's very, very, man, we're talking deep stuff. I thought, all right, Paul, we're going to get back to this. I promise we will finish your clip, but we have gotten on a big detour here right now. Holy crap. All right, let me keep going. I'm going to read all these until then, and we'll finish the clip after that. Raymond Jacobs saying, hey, Blue City, I thought mass shootings don't happen in Texas. I thought every American was armed there. Yeah, that is like, listen, Raymond Jacob just brought up an argument that was used against me with my master's thesis. That when I wanted to write my master's thesis at Florida State University 15 years ago, that my master's teacher told me, well, we've already figured out gun control in this country. That and the reason why he said that is because there's a professor at Florida State who studies gun control, and he's written a book, and it's a really awful book. He's absolutely an asshole. He's a fuck up because he's promoting that more guns means less gun crime, because there's a vigilante kind of thing where people are worried to do anything in public because there's going to always be somebody there with a gun to keep them in line. Like an old West kind of mentality. Well, this is absolute bullshit. And that when I tried to write my paper about gun control in the States working better to help these problems, my teacher said, well, we've already figured out gun control because of Jeff's book. It says more guns equals less gun crime. Well, that's absolute bullshit. And we've seen in the last 15 years that that is not working, and that this man's book and stuff like that, and the reason why he poo-pooed me for not doing it, is not true. More guns does not equal less crime. More guns equals more crime with guns. Because listen, like I said, every single individual who has a gun has the propensity to turn into a criminal with a gun. I don't care how sound of mind you are. Your wife could leave you and be fucking your best friend, and you go off the deep end, and all of a sudden you're shooting people. That's what I'm saying, y'all, is that we need to realize that, yeah, the other side is going to blame mental health. But you know what? Mental health is rampantly a problem in this society, especially with the pandemic and different things that happen with that, and just the people getting taken to the absolute limits economically. Mental health is sure a part of it, but the access to the guns is also a part of it. That, listen, there's been times in my own life where I've been alcoholic and I've gone to the deepest, darkest places of my soul where I've wanted to kill myself. And that if I had owned a gun at that point, I'd be dead by now, right now. Just the fact that you own a gun in your own house, if you get suicidal, you're more likely to die. That you own a gun in your house, your children are more likely to die. Statistically, that's just the truth. The presence of the gun in the house allows for you to have a very easy access to a very quick solution that may not be the right one in your right mind at that moment. And that's what I'm saying. Just the presence of the gun in the house. You could be the safest gun owner in the world, have it locked up, everything. Your kids don't even know it. They find it one day and they unlock it and they play around with it. Boom, you have a dead kid. So that's what I'm saying. And also the other thing is people buy it for protection. Well, you know what happens sometimes? People break into your house, they find your gun before you, and they use your own damn gun on you. So there's shit like that is what I'll say with this. The presence of guns always makes things dangerous no matter what. Whether you own it yourself or if somebody else has it, it's the same thing. So, all right, let's see. I'll keep going. But yeah, Raymond, that's what made me think that. It's like more guns there. People are supposed to be protecting these badasses who think they're vigilantes. They're going to be a hero in the moment with their gun. A lot of times they're pussies and they fucking run out the door and they don't do shit anyway, even though they did have the gun and they said they have the gun to do that shit. They don't do anything about it. They actually puss out when the moment to be a hero happens. They take off and they don't even actually do anything. These cowboys who think they're so badass. It's like at Parkland, same thing. The school resource officer didn't have any balls and he fucking disappeared when they needed him most. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, security guard, guy who's been a retired police officer, he went and did what he was supposed to do in the line of duty. And he took a shot at him. He got shot himself. And that's the difference. It's like you can be a hero. You can talk like you're a hero and have a gun and all this kinds of, ooh, you're a big bad man. Well, let's see what happens when the chips are down, motherfucker. Because you can say all that kind of shit. And if you're not a hero in the moment when it happens, then you are not a hero. You're just a person who walks around with a gun because you need it to feel better for your own self. Stuff like that. So anyway, Blue City saying, sorry, I meant to say, but do we already have black players playing in the MLB? Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally understanding what your question is here either. But we'll figure it out. If you want to elaborate down below, I'll figure it out there. Click 2AM saying social media exposed a lot of stuff in this world. There's no more hiding. The government can't get away with this BS anymore. That's exactly true, Click. That's part of the thing is like the veil of hiding everything is gone. We know what's going on and we can all communicate just like what I'm doing here right now. Is like we can communicate and share the information and the things that are happening in a more effective, faster way than ever. And that scares the shit out of them. And in fact, that's part of the reason why they're clamping down. Like the next thing that they're doing, and we need to all be aware of, is that, and I'm not saying that this guy is necessarily the bad guy, is whatchamacallit, Gates. Bill Gates is buying up all the arable land in the United States that can produce food. And he wants to control food production for people and make a bunch of money off of that. He's already making a ton of money off Microsoft license and Microsoft stuff. But he wants to tie up the market for food and be the person who profits off of us needing to eat. So be real careful and watch that with people. And that's why we need to have more autonomy and make our own food, grow our own food, and be more responsible for our own self and not rely on people to get our stuff, because that is how we will enrich them. We need to go ahead and be more independent and get back to that kind of stuff. Anyway, all right, I'm going way off here. All right. I love what you're saying, Click. It's true. They can't hide anymore, that things are changing and that we're sharing information and the truth gets out there and we know what's going on. Paul B saying Elon Musk is married to Canadian artist Grimes, right? He can't be that bad. He just kidding. Grimes is Canadian? I didn't know she's Canadian. They're married, but they're not really. They're in an open relationship. He's having children with other people also. She's not technically with him right now. They do co-parent together and they're on good terms. She's said some really weird shit lately that has me really worried because listen, she's in that upper echelon with him and she knows him real well. And she's acting like a Marie Antoinette. I'm going to tell you right now, her latest video, which came out last week, New Gods, is singing about how society wants new gods for this new era that's coming in this world. And she's really singing from the perspective of, I'm in an ivory tower with my rich 1%ers, and you are all the people below us. And that I have a sword, and the sword that I'm holding in my throne symbolizes that we are the ones who have the power. And that it's really discerning. Like, it really smacks of like Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged kind of like mentality. And it's very dystopian, and like, it's a beautiful song. She sings beautifully in it, but it's also very dark, and also very kind of like, what the fuck is this shit? Kind of like, you go watch it. I'll put it in the comments. You can see the new Grimes video, and you tell me what she's singing about and what she's thinking about with all this and stuff. So, but yeah, I like Grimes's music, but I'm really starting to worry about her politics. I'm not gonna lie. Raymond Jacobs saying, I like her music too, but Grimes is hopped on LSD. Go Elon. She is weird. I mean, they named their kid X23 or something like that. Click 2M saying he killed his own grandma. Elon killed his own grandma? I didn't know that. I wouldn't doubt it. That's probably true. Blue City's saying, also, we need to stop the children from getting guns and finding the guns. Yes, all kinds of things. Honestly, like I said, less guns, less of a problem. I've never owned a gun in my life. I've barely seen guns. I have shot guns before. I do know how to shoot a gun. I do know how to handle a gun, but I've never personally owned a gun. But that's the thing. It's like, I understand what the responsibility and the very really deep things about a gun are. And some people don't. They just think it's like, oh, gun, woo, fun. They don't respect it like they should. And that's part of the problem. And people that don't respect their guns, their children find them and they end up shooting their friend or something like that. Blue City's also saying Reggie Jackson from the Yankees was also a black player. And he was also the second black player to break the color barrier. I don't think he was the second overall, but there were a lot of issues with Reggie also with race, for sure. Because at each stage of baseball, there's different levels of like acceptance of black people being involved. Like, they didn't want a black manager for a while, or they wouldn't have black quarterbacks in the NFL. Think about that whole thing, or black coaches in the NFL. This has been a whole fight and stuff like that. So Reggie did go through some racial stuff in his time as Mr. October and the things with the Yankees and different things like that. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think that it's a little bit of a mix of everything. Like, if Paul's right, he's saying that Tim said it because he's like doing some new level, like racial change in MLB. And that's why he wants to be the Jackie Robinson of today's era. Or if it's because he's saying it because he plays like him or has similarities to him in his game. Like, I can understand either one of them, him saying it. It's actually, if he's saying he's doing it because of racial progressiveness, then I will support Tim Anderson on this, because I'm sure there's stuff on the inside mechanisms of MLB that are super racist and messed up still to this day. And that if he's shining a light on more of that, then kudos to him. Go for it. I'm all for it and stuff. I'm not on Josh Donaldson's side necessarily. I think he's a knucklehead and he is a racist, and it shouldn't be him calling him Jackie. But I also say that what he did is not necessarily racist either. So Monique saying Delano is really working out, looking damn good. Yes, Monique, get us back on track here. He's in Miami still. I'm pretty sure he's working out with the same people that are working out with Scotty. I was thinking about this morning. It's good that Delano Banton's in Miami with Scotty Barnes. And, it's the kind of thing where it's like, this is a Toronto man. Delano is for sure Toronto. And if he's down there just making sure Scotty's keeping connected to the Raptors and kind of keeping things, there's already a lot of talk from different fan nations and different people that are coveting Scotty Barnes, even though there's nowhere near the time where they're going to be able to get anywhere near him, their hands on him, possibly on their team. But, somebody said this the other day. It was like, I want to enjoy Scotty Barnes on our team as long as we can while he's here. And I'm like, motherfucker, let's make him Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was on the Lakers his whole career. He didn't play anywhere else. Let's hope that Scotty wants to be like Magic in that respect also. But if Delano's in Miami with Scotty and they're working out and hanging out together and stuff like that, that's good, because that's keeping the bond of the Raptors and Delano's Toronto man down there with him while this all stuff, because there's going to be a lot of stupid noise and stuff like that. And I just want to make sure that, things are going good. Blue City saying, as a black man, I never liked the Negro baseball because I always thought it was disrespectful, but that's my opinion. Yeah, it was disrespectful. It always was. It was segregation. It was the same thing as a bathroom. It was the same thing as a water fountain, is that they didn't want black people to play with white people. And part of it was that the black people were way better. In fact, if you want to go and look at the stats from the Negro Leagues compared to the MLB at that time, some of the athletes that were in those leagues were way better than Major League Baseball. That there were players there, if they had played in Major League Baseball, they would have a lot of records. They may be better than Babe Ruth. Like we talk about Babe Ruth now, but there may have been a dude in the other league that was way better. That's what I'm saying. It was segregation. And that's why it was really important for that to go away. And Jackie Robinson and the other players to come and be in the MLB is because they were separated by segregation, which was the same thing as the damn schools, the bathrooms, the restaurants, and all the other bullshit in that racist ass society back then. And that's why it is very disrespectful. I'm not lying. You're exactly right. It is. It's wrong. Let's see. Some are saying, did you mention Pascal third team all NBA yet? And Freddie almost made second team all defense. He was next up. That's awesome. I didn't realize that thing about Fred being the next one up for second team defense. That's really good. But yeah, we talked a little bit about Pascal making third team. I'm going to go on a freak out about this on Friday. I've already decided, Summer. So if you want my full 2 cents about Pascal being on the third team all NBA and other things about the all NBA team, listen to me on Friday because I'm going to do a whole segment on that. And then the Team Canada stuff, I think I'm going to talk about it on Sunday, guys. It's going to be my special report, the rise of Team Canada basketball, how it's starting this week. And we're going to do a special report on Sunday. Just a little programming note. And tomorrow we're going to do on the Think Tank, we're going to talk more about Mo Bamba. I know you'll like that, Monique. We'll talk about Mo Bamba tomorrow and the ideas about him being on the Raptors and how it's becoming more and more possible as this, we're going further into this summer. So let's see. Monique saying Summer Pascal deserved it so much. He really did. And it's really interesting that he wasn't on the All-Star team and he is on the All-NBA team, because some people are saying, how can you do that? Well, Jimmy Butler did it last year. He was not on the All-Star team, but he did make the All-NBA last year. So this is not uncommon that this happens. So it is interesting, though. Monique saying, anyone notice Chris Boucher is still in Toronto, not on vacation? Yeah, he came back, though, in the last couple of days. He was in Montreal over the past weekend, but he showed back up yesterday. You know, it's on his Instagram. You see the tower in the Instagram. Well, he's in Toronto. Chris is here. Yeah. And honestly, I'm really curious about his free agency and how it's going to go. Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to stick with us. He's really showing the signs. It's not like he's being a normal player where he's like holding his cards tight to his chest and not letting our management know whether he's interested in coming back. He's very much open about wanting to be back on the Raptors and stuff like that. And that may be like his agent saying, don't be like this, Chris. You need more leverage. And he's like, I don't give a shit. I just want to live my life. And this is what I want. And, you know, it's like some agents will say, no, you can't talk about this. No, you can't let on what you want in this because they'll use it against you in trying to negotiate. And he's not doing that. He's being completely open about it. And that bodes well for us re-signing him and working with us. Maybe that mid-level exception. I don't know. We will see what happens. Paul B saying, sounds exactly like Grimes. Does it have a cool beat? She had a Bernie logo before her set. Hang on. It jumped again. She had a Bernie logo before her set at Coachella. It was fantastic. As Chuck D said, Beastie Boys are the reverse Jackie Robinson of rap. That's interesting. Grimes was politically a lot more progressive and left, but I think her relationship of Elon and being in his inner circle as his partner has changed her. It's kind of like when somebody grows up and they say, oh, you become like more conservative as you gotten older. I think that's what's going on. I mean, she's got a taste of that insular 1% life. And she loves it. And she's probably like thinking about like, I'm just in this class at this point. And it may not be she's the same person in the last couple years. Let's just put it that way. That the ivory tower and the pamperedness of living in Elon Musk's like wealth is changing things about her politically and stuff like that. That's what I'm sensing. Tom Duke's saying Paul B is laughing at he's laughing at Paul B. Click 2 a.m. Oh yeah, let's talk about this. I see what you brought up, and I watched this, and this is very interesting. In fact, I was going to forget to talk about this. Norman Powell went on Instagram Live yesterday and was confronted by a racist in his gym while he was working out. The girl tried to shit and piss on the floor. They had to call police. I saw this clip. This is in Las Vegas, y'all. Norman's in Las Vegas working out right now, and apparently this woman didn't like him being there or doing something, and she raised a stink. This is what I'm saying is that when you let Kyle Rittenhouse get away with murder and you let racist ideology be mainstream, you let racism be normalized by people like Donald Trump, you get out of pocket motherfuckers like this bitch in Las Vegas coming up to Norman Powell and starting shit with her. I'm sure Norman's like, man, I kind of miss Toronto because this kind of shit would never happen in Toronto like this. Because like this lady went way out of pocket and he filmed it. And I'm bravo to him for putting his social media on here on blast on his social media. Because listen, he's got tons of followers, and this woman's going to be all over the place with this. She didn't realize who she was fucking with. You're fucking with Norman Powell of the Los Angeles Clippers. And yeah, it's hilarious. He showed such poise and like what she was saying and stuff like that. And kudos to the police of obviously coming there and arresting her and taking her to jail and stuff. But that is symptomatic of everyday things that everybody deals with in the States from time to time. If you're a person of color or somebody who's gay or transgender or even women have to deal with harassment in different ways in general also. So we need to get this more out and put these people on blast for what they're fucking doing. Yeah, Click saying thankfully he didn't do anything stupid. No, he did brilliant things, actually, filming her and showing his calm, cool, collected way of dealing with it back. Because some people will get angry and they'll do something violent and then they're in trouble also. So he was the better person. He didn't take the bait in the hockey fight and wasn't the second person that hit out and got put in the penalty box. He was the one who was calm, cool, and collected. They took care, let the authorities take care of it, take that bitch to jail, and that's that. But that's the thing. Racists are emboldened by racists being in power. They will, in their everyday lives, do more racist shit because it's more normalized by people like Donald Trump. And that is part of the problem with somebody like Donald Trump. He is fucking racist and he puts it on blast. He's not helping the problem. He's part of the problem. He's not helping the solution. And that's a big problem. He has not denounced enough of these kind of racist things because he doesn't want to turn off his base, which is racism. And that's a whole part of the thing we got to look at. That woman was probably a Trump person. And I could say that probably with full confidence. So Tom Duke saying, I just spit out my coffee. Love how you love the B-Boys, Paul. That's why I was laughing. Yeah, he really loves the B-Boys. And maybe it's because of his name, Paul B. Paul's Boutique. It's got to be something to do with that. And it's awesome. I love that about Paul B. It's so awesome, man. All right, let's see. Paul's saying, I have a side YouTube channel called Beastie Freak where I go live at 9:30 sharp and talk all these Beastie. I actually believed you in this. You may need to do this. I mean, I don't know how much current news there is about the Beastie Boys all the time and stuff. I mean, I guess you could talk about, different things with them, anniversaries and different stuff like that. But maybe that would be a good channel. YouTube's becoming more and more niche. Like that's part of what my channel is, a very niche channel. Positive Raptor fans, daily Raptor news kind of stuff. That's a very niche audience. And maybe, Paul, there is an audience out there for daily Beastie Boys content on a Beastie Freak channel at 9:30 a.m. every morning. I love that. That's so good. Quick Sam saying Chris was at a music festival in Montreal. Yeah, Metro Festival is a hip hop festival. They had Lil Baby there, and who else was there? I don't know a lot of their names. Polo G was there, different people like that. And it's a good festival for Montreal, a good music festival. And I think he had part of it. And I don't know if he had part of running it or doing something, but he's something to do with it. They probably gave him a pass. He was a VIP or something like that. Who knows? Paul B saying lots of good deep cuts that talk about gun control, democratic socialism, nuclear disarmament. Oh man, listen. Oh my gosh, those are heavy, heavy topics. Monique saying, thanks for talking about Mo Bamba tomorrow. Yeah, I hope you'll join me tomorrow, Monique, because I know that you're really up to date on the Mo Bamba stuff and just talking about the possibilities for him coming in and being maybe our new center next year. Click to him saying she tried to say he's not American. Oh, that lady in Las Vegas was telling Norman Powell he was not an American person. Was that because he played for the Raptors and he's an NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors? I don't know. Maybe it's just because this woman's so fucked up. She thinks anybody of color is not actually American. There are some people that think that way. They're fucked up like that. Monique saying, I was a part of his Instagram story, shaking my head. Why? Oh, you were there when Norman had that story and stuff, and you were there commenting and stuff. Crazy, crazy. Hey, Seymour's here. Good morning. Good to see you, Seymour, from the Raps family. All right, let's keep going with this. I know we got sidetracked. All right, this is the Yuta dunk in New Jersey where Yuta dunked on Kessler. I think his name was Kessler. All right, they're going to probably replay it right here. All right, let's see. Oh, hang on. I jumped back. All right, that's OG with the lob. Hello. Lolita's here. Thank you for doing this podcast as part of my daily routine. Enjoy and love your show. Go Raptors. Thanks, Lolita. I appreciate you. All right, so this is Paul B's compilation of the best dunks from the year. We're just kind of going through the ones I already did earlier. OG's ones are badass. Like Paul front loaded with OG, and that makes sense because OG had some of the nicest ones. But to me personally, Precious was the guy with the best dunks this year. But yeah, look at OG here. That's on Jimmy Butler. Just right over him. That was so nasty, that Miami dunk. And that was in the triple overtime game from what I remember. Really good one. Okay, here's the Cleveland reverse. Cleveland reverse. Very, very good. This is the other angle of it. Coming down the court. Malachi to OG. Up and under the basket. A reverse. Bam. Beautiful. Graceful. Kind of Michael Jordan, Dominique. Kind of grace. All right, there's the Yuta on Kessler. And like I said, he didn't get it clean. He hit kind of the rim and his hand. See, like it went around and fell in. It's like, but he got it. He got it. That was so awesome. Like, good job. You and the crowd, the bench obviously loves when Yuta does something badass. Okay, this is Precious. The thing about Precious, he elevates so high up. He gets so high up. And then he's usually jumping over someone also. Oh my gosh. It's a countdown of sorts. They only get better. Okay, so you're intending them to get better and better as they go. All right. See, like, it's crazy. Like, he gets so high up and he jumps over guys. Like, it doesn't matter if they're in the way. He can go through them. Scotty right around in Indiana, against Indiana. That's just like a grand sweeping kind of like dribble. Nice long limbs. So it's easy for him to stride and just extend and just get nice boom. Nice throw down, easy dunk. Oh my gosh. Scotty has got a beautiful stride for how he dunks. Really, really does. Like this is like 8 times this showed. I love that, Paul. You got every angle on that one. Okay, this is going to be Scotty again, I think. Yeah, this is the one where he gets pushed out of bounds by Caleb Martin. Now this one's impressive to me because listen, he has to worry about Martin riding his back, and those guys. He could hear the footsteps of the guys around him, and he's going full out. And he still managed to finish it. Like, that is really hard to do. Like, you got people pushing from both the side and behind you, and you're going to be going out of bounds. You're going to be worried about catching your fall. Then you just still make the shot. He still makes the dunk, which is absolutely impressive about this dunk because he could have easily missed it, gotten pushed, just gotten a foul, all that kind of stuff. But he actually finished. And that is super impressive about this. Like, watch how, and they push him afterwards. He's pushing them there. He's pushed them there, and then he pushes them hard there into the lady with the drink. Oh, my gosh. Like, look, he's not thinking about it. He's coming from the side. Hero's coming from the side, and then Martin in the back, and then he pushes him. He pushes him. Look at the drink. The drink goes flying. Like, that was a dangerous play. But kudos to Scotty for being able to finish with that kind of danger because they're both right there. That lady, I still haven't seen that lady's phone clip of her Scotty coming right at her. Okay, here's another one. Scotty against the Clippers. That's another great dunk. Like, he seems to have that high throwdown dunk. The not tomahawk. What is it? Like, what do we call it? Just a one-handed slam. Boom! Just throwing it down. Great extension once again. They gave the ball to him in a rhythm so that he could catch it in rhythm and just throw it down. Okay, this is a Precious dunk. Oh, man. Like, he's in traffic. He's got 2 guys next to him. And once again, he just elevates like a foot higher than the basket. I don't know how he does this. Seymour saying that, okay, let's see. Click saying Precious dunk versus Washington is crazy. Yeah, the Precious dunk versus Washington at the beginning of the season was really good. I think it's on here. Let's see. Seymour saying Scotty's dunk in Miami is the best dunk of the year in his opinion. Yeah, that one is pretty good. That one's pretty good. Me personally, I like the Scotty dunk against Orlando that I was at, that I saw personally in real life. But that dunk in Miami was really impressive because of the physicality around it. Paul B. saying, I feared for Scotty's life on that one. Made it tough to watch. Didn't want to glorify Caleb Martin's dirty play. Yeah, like that was dirty by Caleb. And I'm always going to have a mark against Caleb Martin going forward because he could have really seriously hurt our rookie of the year and stuff like that. So, yeah, that is a really good dunk, Seymour. I cannot disagree with you if that is your best one because that is really impressive, honestly, is because of the physicality he took and still managed to finish. Monique saying, Lex, should Raptors have gotten 69 on NBA 75? I like it. You know, I saw that they did that. The best teams, top 75 teams in the history of the NBA, and Raptors championship team got 69 on the list. I like that they're 69, but maybe it's a little too low. I think that maybe they should be higher on the list. That, if there's 75 years in the NBA, there's been at least, are they picking all championship teams? Because maybe there's teams that are not as good. Like, are they picking teams that didn't win championships that are on this list? I'd have to look at the whole list. And also, I don't think that they're that low on the list. I honestly, and I know I'm majorly biased, I think that the Raptors championship team should be in the top 40 of all time NBA teams in the history of the NBA. Honestly, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I have to look at the list to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how I feel about it, is that 69 may be too low, that they need to be in the top 40, actually, as far as greatest teams of all time, because there's a whole bunch of other things that they're not counting into how the Raptors won. That if, as far as like the whole obstacle of the Raptors trying to win as being the only Canadian team, and then just all kinds of other stuff, so much doubt, so much other bullshit, things holding us back. And we managed to break free and get that 2019 championship. They discount it in those ways where they should give them more credit for how they accomplished it, because it was really a huge accomplishment. So I'm just going to say 69 is a little low. I like the number myself, and I'm glad they're on the list. But I think that they should be in the top 40, honestly. I'd have to look at the rest of the list. They shouldn't be behind teams like Detroit's championship in the early 2000s. They shouldn't be behind most of the teams that have won recently. I don't think they shouldn't be behind the Milwaukee team that won last year. They should be ahead of that team because they're greater than them in a lot of ways and different things, stuff like that. Paul B. saying, we also lost that game in Miami, made that dunk and attempted comeback more painful. Okay, that wasn't the Miami game that we won in triple overtime. That was the game we lost to them in Miami this season. Okay. All right, this is a Pacers game, and I believe this is the Svi Mihalik behind the back left-handed jam. So we watch Svi bringing the ball up the court. He round the back, left-handed jam. Boom, Svi. Wow. The first half of the season, he was so good, Svi. Like, why didn't you do more of that for the rest of the season? Why weren't there more three-pointers? Why wasn't there more behind-the-back dribbles and left-handed jams, Svi Mihalik? Oh, my gosh. You were so badass at the beginning of the season, and then it just downhill more and more downhill as the season went, which is too bad. Like, look at that. That's a beautiful play. And once again, it's the kind of play where the bench just goes crazy. All right, here's a Precious in Washington. This is the dunk you guys were saying. That one, oh, yeah, he went up high. Went right over the Wizards defender there. I mean, that is a badass dunk. Whoever picked that dunk to be their number one, that is a really badass dunk. Here, we'll see it again from this corner. He jukes Montrezl Harrell at the top of the key, gets free, and then he just elevates over the last defender. So good. That's the thing I love about Precious's dunks is they're usually precluded before by a very nice dribble. Like the man has some sort of Tim Hardaway crossover where he can shake a guy. Like he was doing it to Embiid nasty in the playoffs. Like that's really a good sign for Precious. As far as an offensive player, more complete player, the fact that he can do dribble moves to lose his defender and get around them to attack the basket is going to be huge in the years to come. I'm going to tell you that right now because that's not going to go away. He's only going to get better with that kind of stuff as far as being able to dribble off his defender and get around and get open lane to the basket. It's going to be so good. Let's see. Paul's saying it was Kispert. Yeah. Monique saying news and notes. Messiahs in Africa did a conference check it out. Yeah, he's meeting with leaders in Africa, talking about more Giants of Africa kind of stuff. Just Messiah's always busy. He's an important man doing important things all over the place. All right, this is the full court jam by Scotty that I love. Like, this is the one I saw in person. Like, the reason why I really love this one is because it's my favorite dunk personally, is because I was at the game, I saw it in live, and when I saw him get that rebound and start striding up the court, I knew he was going to do something badass. I'm like, oh, that's because I saw him go with purpose. And then the fact that it took him like 3 or 4 dribbles and strides to get up the court and just shoom. Oh man, it looks so good in person. So it's a personal thing because I was there, and also like it was an early Scotty dunk that was really, really super impressive. Paul B was saying this was our future on display. Yeah, shades of Giannis. I like that clip. That's pretty true. Like, Giannis has been known to bring the ball all the way up the court and just take it right to the hoop. And it really was like that. Paul's saying 3 dribbles, full court. He rebounded the ball. Nobody else touched the ball. And the thing is, he didn't even, this may be something against Orlando's defense, but he didn't even have to move from the center of the court. He took it right down the middle of the court, and nobody stopped him, and he just jammed it right down. I don't think against some teams he would have been able to do that. Like Boston probably would have stopped him before he got there, but Orlando let him do it. Seymour saying, what you think about Levine calling out Bulls fan for giving DeMar all the credit when they win and Levine gets the blame when they lose? I think he wants out. Wow, I hate to hear that because it really sounded like Chicago had a good young nucleus going. Maybe because Alonzo got hurt and Caruso, it really fucked up their chemistry and like they turned on each other. I don't like to hear that. I kind of think Zach LaVine's a knucklehead. I'm not gonna lie. He doesn't seem like a very intelligent person to me. And I don't like that he's publicly airing that. Like, if you have a problem with DeMar, that sounds like what you're saying, Zach, and stuff like that. Now, I'm hearing that he possibly might not be back with Chicago, and maybe that's part of what it is. But they could be better off without him. They could get a better piece to go with DeMar. I thought that they worked really well together, but this is disheartening. And as far as I'm concerned, well, Zach, if you don't want to be with the Bulls, go ahead and move on. Go to the next place. And stuff like that. But yeah, that's hilarious. They should have kept that in-house. And Zach, you should just shut up, man. Come on. You guys sat at the podium after games so many times this year, and you guys were buddy-buddy, and now you're going to turn around and say that kind of shit? Listen, they're not dumping on you. They may be dumping on you because you were hurt or something like that. And listen, they dump on DeMar just as much. Trust me. They're dumping on him also because he's got a whole history of failure in the playoffs with us. And that they liken back to the moments with him and Kyle against LeBron and shit. So you got to realize, Zach LaVine, you can't just say this about DeMar's not getting grief also and getting only credit because he's getting grief also. And I've seen it myself since they got put out this playoff. So, yeah. Paul B saying, this dunk proved we had something special. Scotty's better. That's when the chant started. Scotty's better. Scotty's better. And Paul B saying, one hell of a moment to set the mood for the rest of the season for me. Yeah, it really was. Like, this dunk was very Dr. J. That's when I keep saying this is a Dr. J dunk. Like, just amazing. Click 2M saying the Bulls were going to be trash again in 2 years. When DeMar is out of his prime and if they trade Levine, they won't have many options to improve. It sucks because it really seemed like their really good window for synergy and winning with this core was this year. And that when Grayson Allen took out Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball couldn't play anymore also, that fucked up their whole season. And that may have fucked up this whole core and this opportunity with this team and stuff like that. That's too bad. It may be kind of thing. Like, I don't know the money one lineup or anything, but man, if DeMar could come back here and try and get a championship with Scotty Barnes, I would love that so much. But I don't know how that could work. And if it's really at the tail end of his career and he's just going to be a vet that's kind of hanging out at the end of the bench, being a good guy like Thad was this year for us, maybe that could happen in a couple of years from now. That tomorrow, when you're at the end of your career, if you really want to get that chip that you never got so far, then you may still be able to come back and get it in Toronto as a role player off our bench, like a scorer off the bench that we needed this year or something like that. But yeah, I don't know how it would work, and it wouldn't work on this contract because we can't pay him the money for this and fit him in with what we've got with our guys now and stuff. But I agree with this, Click. Their window is very short, and that they have squandered it this season with the injuries and fucking Grayson Allen's dirty ass play. Paul B saying Scotty versus Jalen Suggs pride was on the line. Scotty delivered. Yeah, that was part of the whole reason why I went to this game was I wanted to see this big marquee matchup, the Jalen Suggs versus Scotty Barnes, because of all the Raptor fan nation back and forth this last summer. and stuff like that. And this is an important key game for Scotty's history because this is the first time he's going up against a guy that they said they should have picked instead of him. And that's proven points kind of time to prove that you're the man and not him. Click saying Scotty scored the first 8 or 10 points in that Orlando game. He was doing everything: threes, mid-range, getting the basket. Scotty can be a two-way, three-level scorer that can switch 1 to 5. It's insane. He really is like the ultimate utility jack, like Swiss Army knife kind of player as far as like what you just said. You actually just encapsulated really well, Click, that he's a two-way player that has 3 levels of scoring: near the basket, mid-range, and a three-pointer, hopefully more and more. And then he can switch on defense from any of the 5 positions. Absolutely a badass. And like, listen, if you couldn't see that potential going into the draft last year, then you were probably trying to hide him and squirrel him away and pick him for your own team. They didn't want to make a big deal out of him and let everybody know the secret is out. And that Masai and Bobby knew the secret, and they were like, we're executing, we're getting this. And now they're getting it. And it's the real deal Holyfield product that they thought it was. And that this man is exactly who he seemed like he could be athletically and physically, from his stats, just as a person, his hands, his wingspan, his height, his broad shoulders, and his strength, all that kind of stuff going into figuring it out. Seymour Pape saying Sacramento Kings offering 4th pick for SGA from Thunders. Oh man, listen, those scrubby teams at the bottom and whatever they do back and forth and stuff like that. It's I don't really care what they do, but I will talk about SGA real quick because SGA is on Team Canada, is announced yesterday, and this is a good thing. Like when you can have SGA and Lou Dort playing for Nick Nurse and getting Nick Nurse around these young Canadian players like RJ Barrett, Jamal Murray, the rest of the team that we got playing for Canada this summer, this is good because they're going to see Nick Nurse and how he coaches, and he's going to get to know them better even. And this may be really good for free agency, for getting Canadian players to come to Toronto down the road. Like if we want to get SGA on the Raptors, have him play for Team Canada this summer with Nick Nurse in charge and see how that affects things. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Monique saying a lot of praise for Nick Nurse on Zach Edey. Yeah, okay, good. That's good. And he's going to get drafted hopefully this draft, and we'll see where he is and what position. Who knows if he ends up on our team, whatever. But that's an interesting name, Zach Edey and stuff like that. Seymour Pape saying at Monique, I really hope we get Edey for Toronto. He's 7'4". Yeah, well, we'll see. If Nick Nurse is already talking about him, it may be because of Canada basketball, but maybe on the down low, it's because of Toronto Raptors basketball also that he's interested in Zach Edey. We'll have to see what happens with the draft. He's somebody we haven't talked about enough, actually, honestly, Zach Edey. And maybe that's somebody we'll need to talk about more tomorrow on the Think Tank when we're talking about Mo Bamba and different people. We'll talk about Edey too. Monique saying Jalen Harris is playing for Shooting Stars, Lex. Yeah, he's going to be in the backcourt with J. Cole playing for the Scarborough Shooting Stars. They're going to sell out all their tickets. And Paul B, you need to come to Scarborough and watch Jalen Harris if you want to see him play. Your guy you've been calling for all year, he's going to be playing here in Scarborough. Oh, yeah. Paul B saying 15, 10, and 8 in his playoffs debut through 3 quarters before Embiid stepped on him. Rookie of the year, ours. Yes, Scotty Barnes. Big Roy, Scotty Barnes. That is exactly right. He almost had a triple-double in his playoff debut. Fantastic. All right, let's keep going with the clips. This is probably going to be a replay of that Scotty Barnes dunk again. Scotty's better. Scotty's better. Scotty's better. All right, rebound. 2, 3, dunk. 3 dribbles and a dunk. Boom. And that really good elevation, too, on that. I like this Photoshop you did of I like the Photoshop you did of Scotty there with the trophy, Paul, and then of course the Paul's Boutique. Hello, Brooklyn. Very awesome, very good stuff. All right, y'all. Just today talking about the dunks from the past year with really good dunks from Precious, really good dunks from OG, really good dunks from Scotty. And we were talking about this earlier. Why are there not more dunks from Pascal Siakam? Well, because Pascal Siakam is kind of a below the rim kind of player. He's more likely to want to lay it up or anything. But if he does dunk it, if you've ever noticed, if he's broken free, he never does anything too flashy. It's when Pascal dunks it, it's just basically a basic two-hand put it through the hoop kind of thing, never that flashy. So how often do we get Pascal Siakam dunk highlights? Not very often. Much more likely that it's going to be a spin move where he does a finger roll and he makes it that way or something like that. Very interesting stuff. All right, Monique's saying, looking forward to talking about Mo Bamba tomorrow. Yes, the Think Tank, Thursday Think Tank tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be having a think tank where we all come together and we have talk about our ideas and thoughts about Mo Bamba possibly being a Raptor next season, and people like Zach Edey and different things like that, as far as like speculating and talking about the possibilities for our roster changes this summer. So I please hope you guys will join me tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. to talk about Mo Bamba and other think tank subjects. And Seymour saying, yes, Pascal is a finesse player. That's why this man is not getting the dunks and stuff like that. But it is kind of fun to see the Svi dunk, the Yuta dunk, and the different dunks from different players and stuff. Paul B, once again, thank you so much for your work and putting together this compilation clip. I'll put it in the comments so you guys can go watch it yourselves. And without all the jankiness of being on my TV and the color and all this kind of stuff, you can watch it very clearly your own time and stuff like that, and get the views up for Paul's compilation clip, and maybe follow Paul on his station Beastie Freak every morning, 9:30 a.m. talking daily Beastie Boys talk and stuff like that on there. But yeah, I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you for the vibes yourself and everybody. And Seymour, yes, all the best to all the Raptor freaks. I appreciate y'all. Hit the subscribe button, please, if you already haven't. And I'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Let's go Raptors, and let's go Team Canada. We have got a really good team coming to represent the nation of Canada this summer. This is going to be a new era, guys. I'm not lying. Team Canada is going to be a very, very important force in international basketball starting now, starting yesterday. It's a new era. Oh, yeah, baby.